Hi, my name is Bev, and welcome to Bev's Art Studio. Today, I'd like to show you how to make a dream catcher by using an old lampshade, some old hippie beads that I purchase at secondhand stores and garage sales, and I like to get the ones with beads and the nice cording that I can use in the dream catchers also. I also look for leather coats, and I try to find the most economical ones that I can find, and I can get several out of this one child's coat. I start by tearing apart my lampshades, and I get those completely torn apart, and then I start cutting. And when I cut, I use my rotary cutter, and I use the longest part of the jacket that I can to get the longest strips. I usually cut those into 1 inch wide and however long I can get from them. And the way I cut that is to get a nice even edge. When you use scissors, it can get a little bit choppy. I use my cutting board, I line it up on the line, and then on this one I'm going to cut strips about a 1/8 of an inch, because this is going to be part of my fringe. I use my rotary cutter, and it cuts, and you have a nice even cut. When you're using a rotary cutter, make sure that you push it closed when you're finished. You could bump it. It is a razor blade, or if you have children in the house, it could be dangerous for them. So after you do that, then you want to start wrapping your lampshade ring. After you've cleaned it up as much as you can, you don't have to really worry about that too much, because your leather is going to cover it. I like to start with a pointed edge, and then I can wrap it and then overlap as I go, and I keep going around, and then I'll stop a few wraps, and I'll put on an alligator clip to where it doesn't start spinning on me. And then I'll continue wrapping it around, and I kind of stretch it as I go, and it goes a little bit faster. So once you get it completely wrapped, then you want to take a piece of your sinew, and the sinew you can purchase at your local craft store. It comes in the smaller sizes. It also comes in the economical size, and it comes in these 3 colors. Online you can also find different places that do different colors. Basically what it is a waxed string, and you want to separate it into how many pieces that you can. This one is 3, and you just find the end and then just kind of start pulling it, and then you have your string. And when you want to do it without having to add another piece of string on, you want to use it about, I don't know, 3 yards. I kind of measure it just holding my arms out. Then I tie it on, and then I start making my web. I tie my knot, and I bring my knot right into the center. And then I will either use my first knuckle, or my second knuckle, I'm sorry, or a piece of paper. You can measure it all the way around and divide it evenly to get this webbing perfectly even, if you would like. And you want to start by putting it over your hoop and then coming back under and through. And when you do that, then you want to hold this. You have made your loop, and it's going to pull in to a slip knot. Then you want to do the same thing on this one. Over, under, through, move it over, and pull nice and tight. And it being wax string is going to kind of hold it in place for you. So over, under, through, and then you go all the way around with that, and you have started making your first row of webbing. So when you get the first row of webbing done, the next thing that I do is I use a big fat needle. It's not necessary, but it helps my hands. So your next step is you already have your first row. Now you want to take your needle and come up from the bottom, and I do that because it's easier, and then you go through, and then you want to pull, and you've made another slip knot. And so once you've made your slip knot, you want to pull it to where it's in the center and keep it nice and tight. And again, I go up from the bottom, put the string over the needle, and pull back through, and you've made your second one. And then continue doing this until you get as far as you want to go. If you want to stop and add beads at this time, if you have beads that have a larger hole in them, like this bead, you can just thread it through your needle and keep going. If you have smaller beads, like in this one, what you will want to do is take your needle off and start threading on your beads. Now I've done this one and I've threaded 3 beads on, and then I've gone on to my next one, and I have made a pattern as I'm doing this. So I have done this and I have completed this, and then you do a couple of slip knots at the end, making sure that it's nice and tight. If you run out of the string, all you have to do is, I use a triple knot and pull it and add it on, and once the dream catcher is done, you don't even notice that. Now, you can either purchase your extra strings, or what I have done is cut my leather, like I showed you, into the 1/8 inch strips. Now I take it and I figure out which I want for the bottom. Now, your hole is not always going to make a perfect circle, and I like the way this one looks. It's kind of egg-shaped, so I will use this as the bottom. So now I will take my strip of leather, and I will hold this part out. I will tuck in, and then I will slip it through, both of them through, and then I will pull it, making sure that it is twisted correctly. Now this serves 2 purposes. It gives you a nice clean finish on the top, and on the bottom to put my feathers on, I like to tie a slip knot, and then I will put in my feather and I will pull the slip knot tight, and then I will add a bead, and I will use a little bit of glue on the end and add my bead. Of course, this one won't be white. I'm going to be adding my brown one, which brings me to a little hint per se. Make sure that you have the beads that you need. When I do a project, I like to get everything together and put it all in a plastic bag and make sure I have enough beads to finish my project. It's very disappointing when you're through with the project and you're working on it, and then you get to the end and you think, oh no, I need one more bead. And so then off you go looking for more beads, when, you know, if you'd have just taken the time at the beginning. That's a hard lesson to learn, but, you know, we all do it. So here are some of few of my finished ones. This is another turquoise one, and at the top I have tied my leather strip on the back. I've inserted my feather, put my beads, and I also glued on some little dragonflies. Now, this one I purchased a patent leather belt, and that is what the silver is. And this again is a lampshade. This is part of an old belt, and so on. When I start working on my dream catchers, they kind of tell me what they want. This one is approximately 16 inches. Now, I tie my slip knots and put my feathers in, and I get it nice and even and make sure that it looks balanced, etc. And I have strung on my beads by just using the sinew. These were too small for a needle to go through. So once I get them all even and straight, then I will go back and I will glue my beads on. So that's just a little extra hint for you there. And like I said, when I'm doing them, they kind of tell me what they want to do. And this one, for instance, I used a hoop from a large lamp, and this one is about 19-20 inches. And as I was doing this, I felt it needed something in the center, so I've made a little center piece, and all I've done is wrap my leather around it. And again, this is from a coat that I purchased. Once I was through, by adding this, it kind of warped my piece. So I was twisting it, and when I twisted it, it broke. And it broke at the bottom. And this customer is wanting one with an Egyptian theme for one of her massage therapy rooms. And so I put the Egyptian eye on there by using ink. And it just amazes me that when it broke in the even line with the eye and with the top. So have fun with your dream catchers. Let them tell you what they want. And remember that you don't always have to have round ones. You can also take some twigs from your yard. You can bend them to shape while they're green, and you can tie them in the shape and let them dry. You want to make sure that they're dry because they have a tendency to shrink when they're dried, and you don't want to do your work on it and then have it dry smaller, and that will mess up your webbing. I have done one that I call my Echo Summit because I was at Echo Summit when I did this. This is one of the first ones I was practicing on. You can see it's not a complete round shape. I picked up the pine cone, I picked up the lichen. These are stems from my yard, and then I purchased the butterfly. So you can just let your imagination go wild and do whatever you would like to do. Thank you for watching my video today. I hope I've helped you. If you have any comments, please let me know. I would appreciate it. You can find me on Etsy.com under Bev's Art Studio. I also do many purses using old ties that I have purchased again at garage sales, stole from my husband, from my son-in-laws, etc. And the jewelry is also found jewelry from here and there. Old costume jewelry. The closure is Velcro, and it's a nice little bag to carry, and I will show you a video on how to make that next time. So, thank you very much for watching my video, and I'll see you later.